Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and sadly, we are here to break down the final training camp practice for the 2025 Washington Commanders. Just to let you know after this, because we have that Ravens preseason game going on Saturday afternoon, starting literally at 12 p.m., and I more than likely will not be live streaming that game because I'll be in Virginia getting ready for the upcoming Commanders Kings live show in person, all of that. Really appreciate y'all for selling out those tickets and donating and everything. But after that Ravens preseason game, we're focused solely on preparing for the Week 1 Giants, preparing for the regular season in general, but specifically the Giants. So this is the last training camp breakdown that I have for you for this season. From now on, it's going to be breakdowns of any random news that we get from the Commanders. You know, Terry signing his extension. I have a lot of video topic ideas. I have some film sessions I want to get to, so I promise you I'm still going to have content every day. But this is the final training camp practice breakdown. They're officially shutting everything down. Not even the media members are allowed to record or even like tweet about what they saw at practice and stuff like that. We're in, maybe even there's going to be some practices where they're not even allowed to be there at all. So don't expect any updates from the Commanders practices specifically until we get to the regular season. And we're here to break down like a quick jog through that went down Wednesday, August 20th, and then we're also here to break down some of the major updates and then like the real last padded practice that we had, which was Thursday, August 21st. We have Terry and Noah Brown back at practice, especially Noah Brown. Also, Kinlaw apparently is worth every penny from multiple sources. We're going to get there when we get to the defensive line side of the ball, and it seems like Washington is getting healthy at the right time. But before we get into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video, watching all the way through, leaving likes, leaving comments and stuff like that. In this travel to Virginia, maybe I'll finally be able to get some time to read and reply to as many comments as possible. I would love to read and reply to like hundreds of them because I really wanted to. I've just been super busy the last couple of days with a bunch of stuff. So make sure you stay tuned. Keep leaving those replies. Keep leaving those likes. Without further ado, let's go dive into this video right now, man. Can't wait to see y'all in Virginia. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so from Wednesday's jog through, first of all, Scott Abraham uploaded this clip of the Caps head coach Spencer Carberry checking out the Commanders practice, and it was great to see the reigning NHL Coach of the Year in Ashburn, man. Everybody's pulling up for burgundy and gold practices. It's just a different aura ever since Josh Harris bought the team, and we're a winning franchise. Why would you not want to be around winners when winners are doing winning level practices and things like that? And then also moving on, John Keim gave us not only the update, but a clip of evidence of Marcus Mariota being back at practice for probably the first time in a long time. It's been weeks. JP Finley even uploaded this clip right here where Marcus Mariota's going through some individual drills, and again, it's been a long time since we've seen Marcus Mariota, man. He hasn't participated in any of the preseason games. He didn't even travel to New England at all for that joint practice nor the preseason game against the Patriots. He's been out that long, and I even doubt that he'll play against the Ravens. I think that's straight up the Sam Hartman, Josh Johnson show, and I think I noticed I said Josh Norman in one of my previous videos. I apologize about that, but again, it's just really good to have Marcus Mariota back out there because like I've said, it's Jaden Daniels is your starting quarterback, top 5 elite quarterback in the NFL, gap. Then it's Marcus Mariota, then it's a big gap, and then whatever order you want to put Josh Johnson and Sam Hartman at this point. I mean, I guess Josh Johnson has been less bad, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's been much better than Sam Hartman. And at this point, I'd probably only keep 2 quarterbacks because if we get to the point that Josh Johnson or Sam Hartman have to come into a game and win us a game, the game's probably over with anyway. And then also John Keim uploaded this with this update. Brandon Coleman finally back at practice. The last time he was on the field was August 2nd. So it really seems like we're starting to get healthy at the right time. And then he also updated us on the fact that even linebacker Jordan McGee was taking reps in the jog through on Wednesday, August 20th as well. So that is fantastic news. And then now moving on to Thursday's practice. But before we dive into like the things that actually happened from practice and some of the most notable quotes about certain position groups and things like that, Nick Javala updated us on the fact that this was the final practice for the Commanders that at least, you know, technically training camp wise and be open to the public and the media members again. After this point, we're shutting everything down. We're completely strategizing for the regular season. We're working on actual plays that we plan on running, all of the trick stuff, all of the schematic stuff, you know, the real things. Because, you know, in training camp, we're practicing knowing that the enemies can see us. Like knowing that the Dallas Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles, and all of our opponents have eyes on us. They could be sending spies. They could be sending guys that are pretending to be reporters that just happen to have media credentials to write down what we're doing and how we're preparing and stuff like that. So now we're going to shut all of that down, and we're moving on to preparing for the regular season, so no information will get out. I'm not going to have any clips or updates for y'all as far as practices go. Again, I have enough content and ideas to where I'm still going to be doing at least one video a day, but practice-wise, it's over with. But Nigga Javala also said that they worked on a lot of situational football stuff, brought out even an NFL officiating crew and worked in different scenarios, and I love it every time that we bring out referees. I don't know if it like costs your team to do so, because I'm just shocked that we don't bring referees out every single practice that we have, but you can tell a practice is serious when we bring out referees, because we don't do it all of the time. And then also Scott Abraham, shouts out to him for this one. Man, one of them basketball guys, he said that former Warriors GM Bob Myers, who was here, that really helped like recruit Adam Peters to become the Washington Commanders general manager. He was at the final practice for the Commanders training camp as well. Remember, he's still technically a consultant for the Washington Commanders, even though he mostly does his basketball thing. He's on television breaking down basketball and stuff like that. He's still around the Commanders. He loves being around the team and things like that. And then also Scott Abraham uploaded this clip of Dan Quinn, and it's of Dan Quinn rocking a Doug Williams shirt during the practice. And just in case if you didn't know, even the Pro Football Hall of Fame tweeted it themselves. They say, "Congratulations to Doug Williams, co-founder of the Black College Football Hall of Fame, on receiving the President's Lifetime Achievement Award. From Super Bowl champion to trailblazer for HBCU athletes and students, his impact proves it's more than a game." Doug Williams, I am forever grateful to your efforts towards HBCUs, man. Really appreciate you there, Doug Williams. And I love the fact that, like, his head coach, you know, Dan Quinn, decided he was going to wear a Doug Williams shirt in honor of that. I didn't even necessarily hear Dan Quinn speak to the media and let people know why he was wearing the shirt. He just wore it out of full support for Doug Williams. I love that. And then now moving on, let's talk about some of the injuries for the players, you know, and I'm not going to just read every single injury right now. We're going to kind of fly through like a quick review of the ones that Dan Quinn updated us on back on Wednesday, and then all of the new injury updates that we got on Thursday. I'm going to give you those as we get to those different position groups. So just a quick run through. Quinn provided several updates on players who have missed time with various injuries. Like, we got an update on rookie cornerback Trey Amos, who sat out the Bengals preseason game with a hamstring tightness, and he was back at practice and participating with the rest of the defensive backs on Wednesday as well. Linebacker Jordan McGee and defensive end Javonte Jean-Baptiste finally came back to practice and were even full participants from what everybody saw in Wednesday's jog through as well. And then even more encouraging was the return of guard Brandon Coleman, who had been absent since suffering an ankle injury earlier in the month. Again, it's been since like August 2nd or something like that for Brandon Coleman. He's back too. He pulled back up on Wednesday as well. And then quarterback Marcus Mariota was also back out on the field for the first time in weeks. Although he didn't technically participate in team drills, at least he was doing individual, and that's huge. Of course, those team drills went to Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson for those reps, both of whom are fighting for a third quarterback spot. But we know who our starting quarterback is, and there's a big gap. And then we know who our definitive backup quarterback, our second string quarterback is, and then there's a big gap in the other guys. And then also moving on, before we even dive into all of the different position groups, and I'm gonna let you know right now, I don't even have a single quarterback update for Jaden Daniels nor anybody else, just to give you the heads up. And we're gonna go straight to the running backs after this. But everybody was saying that the vibe and the chemistry of the last practice was just through the roof, man. These guys are super excited and happy about this potential season. Everybody's just in such a great mood. They feel so optimistic. Here's a 52-second clip of, I just feel like everybody should watch this, of different Commanders players, and I promise you're gonna walk away at least smiling after this clip. 52 seconds again.
It's good to have those mentors around you.
So we got some more.
We got some more. Hey, Jaden, what are you saying about this group right here?
Oh no, don't ask him. No.
Well, what are you saying about this group here, right here? These three that I'm talking to.
Okay, it's my guy right here.
Oh, he's so disrespectful. Whitney.
He's a buster.
Hold on. Buster is crazy.
And what about number 0 over here?
Whitney.
He is 30 years old, but he should pick out his hair.
Hey, Mikey. What about your quarterback right there?
He's a cool dude at times, you know what I'm saying? Nah, but that's my guy. That's family.
Man, I love this team, man. I really do. Now, moving on to the running backs. Shouts out to Bleeding Burgundy and Gold. While you're looking at a clip of Chris Rodriguez practicing, Bleeding Burgundy and Gold says C-Rod went from getting his jersey number changed in the middle of the season last year to a potential RB1, maybe even RB2 at worst, RB3 or something like that. You gotta respect the come up, man, and I'm really happy for him. And then you also have this clip of Jaden Daniels throwing the ball to Austin Eckler right here. And it's just a quick little 5-second clip, but it's still notable that, like, we have plans. Even though you don't hear a lot about Austin Eckler this offseason, he's kind of one of those guys where it's just like, what do you expect? We don't hear much about Bobby Wagner. We don't hear much about any of the guys that you pretty much have certain level of expectations. They are going to perform. They're dependable and all that type of stuff. Austin Eckler is one of those guys. I mean, we hear about like Marshawn Lattimore because we saw like a shell of himself last year. So we're excited about him potentially getting back to who he's supposed to be. So that's why we get updates on him. Guys like Laramie Tunsil and Deebo Samuel, they're new additions. I believe they're going to ball out. I believe they're both dependable as well, but with them being new additions, everybody's excited to talk about them. We're all curious, well, how are they doing? But guys like Austin Eckler, we just expect them to show up to work and ball out every day, so we don't get a lot of updates. And so I'm just happy that Scott Abraham uploaded this clip of Austin Eckler catching a pass from Jaden Daniels, just to kind of remind you that, yes, Austin Eckler will be a part of this offense. I know Brian Robinson's gone, and I know we're expecting big things out of Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt especially, aka Bill, and then maybe even Chris Rodriguez as well. But Austin Eckler, do not sleep on him. Do not forget about him. Now moving on to the wide receivers. And shouts out to Scott Abraham for this one, because now we got to see that Noah Brown was back at practice as of Thursday. He's been absent for most of training camp, still dealing with an injury. And it's not like he acquired a new one ever since mandatory minicamp and he had that injury scare. It's just been kind of like a slow ramp up process where he may practice a little bit, then he doesn't practice, doesn't participate in team drills, but he'll go through individuals and stuff like that. It looks like he's starting to feel better and just in time for the regular season, man. We need that. And then shouts out to Brian Manning of Commanders Wire. He pointed out the fact that the Washington Commanders appear to be getting healthier as the 2025 season nears. On Wednesday, starting left guard Brandon Coleman returned to practice after missing nearly 3 weeks with an injury. On Thursday, the wide receiver position received the boost as well. And we aren't even talking about Terry McLaurin's return. Noah Brown was on the field with his teammates Thursday as he nears a return. While he's not all the way back yet, he's working toward that return. Head coach Dan Quinn talked about Noah Brown saying, quote, "Yes, let's talk with Noah. He's also kind of pushing past the rehab portion of the strength side and now on the return to play the accelerations, the decel. So yeah, he's close as well. And as he's targeting through this week and into next week, the arrow is certainly pointing really up for him. And now we're pleased with where he is at. So yeah, good signs with Noah too," unquote. And you love to hear that, man. We're getting a lot of guys back healthy at the right time, it seems like. But again, like I've said, and Dan Quinn has said this, but I've always said, I always take these updates with a grain of salt. He could be lying. He could be downplaying things. But he has said that a lot of these injuries, Jordan McGee, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, Noah Brown, Marcus Mariota, Brandon Coleman, are nothing serious. He never said any of those was serious. And he kept saying, if anything, we're holding these guys out of practices and preseason games out of an abundance of caution. We don't even want to risk them making their injuries any worse and having to miss way longer of an amount of time. So maybe Dan Quinn was fully transparent and was actually telling the truth with all of those injuries, because it seems like as we're getting closer to the regular season, suddenly everybody's back at practice. And I don't think it's just a coincidence or some magical health fairy pulled up out of nowhere. I think they were really just being precautionary, and now it's time to dig in and really start to focus on preparing for this regular season. So it's like, now, all right, we were being precautionary at first, but now we need y'all practicing because we're trying to prepare for these week 1 Giants. And then also you have this clip uploaded by NBC4 Sports, and they pointed out the fact that Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown were with the wide receivers at the end of the practice on Thursday, August 21st. And of course, most notable is the fact that Terry McLaurin not only was there, but he was like involved, like he's in the huddle with the wide receivers. I'm not saying that he necessarily went out there and ran any routes and caught any passes or anything like that, because you can see him in a hoodie and everything like that. But I mean, golly, I mean, he's right there in the huddle. That's the most involved and the closest I've seen Terry McLaurin to any practice yet. Remember, right before the Bengals preseason game, when he finally showed up and stepped onto the practice field for the first time since voluntary OTAs, well before mandatory minicamps. We're talking all the way back in like late April, early May or something like that. You know, that was over a week ago when he stepped onto that field with Adam Peters. We saw them talking to each other publicly. That was the first time in a long time that Terry McLaurin ever stepped onto the practice field at all. All of those times we were seeing him with his agent at practices, once he moved from a holdout to a hold-in and requested that trade, they were like off to the side like where fans are and things like that. So that was the first time over a week ago that he stepped onto the practice field. And now you're seeing him like actually with the receivers, like all of the receivers are huddled up and Terry McLaurin is with them and listening to the information and all of that type of stuff. So he's fully engaged. He's just not physically practicing, and maybe he's just solely trying to avoid getting hurt in any way, and he'll just probably wait till the last second to sign his contract. And he probably is fighting for, until we get closer to week 1, I'm going to keep fighting for whatever money I could potentially gain and leverage or anything like that. But I ultimately think he'll just end up signing, and when it comes time to play, he will play. He just doesn't want to go out there and potentially get hurt in a practice rather than a game that matters, and that mess up his money from him getting injured in a practice. Like, that would be kind of crazy, but I would prefer if he returned as soon as possible. He was activated off of the PUP list. We'll see what happens. But shouts out to Sidonia Ave. He brings up a great point. He said this is cool and all, but we don't need Terry McLaurin holding court on the sidelines in a hoodie. We need son in pads, running and cutting. But again, Linnell Willingham dropped a bomb on Rio Robinson's live stream. I, again, really urge y'all to go watch those and any live stream and interviews that Rio Robinson does with anybody. I mean, he's connected. He's always finding a way to interview somebody that's really plugged in with the Commanders. So definitely go check out all of his live streams and interviews with anybody. But Linnell Willingham went on his show, and that's where the bomb was dropped, where it was told, and there are sources saying that Terry McLaurin catches passes from Jaden Daniels pretty much almost every day in the practice bubble for nobody to see, and they were basically trying to keep it a secret and keep it hidden from everybody else, which further proves that ankle injury is not serious. And then also, Zone Runner quote tweeted it and said, Adam Peters and this team is probably working the details out for Terry McLaurin and a new deal. It just feels like an announcement is coming soon, and I kind of agree. It kind of feels like we're on the way. And then also moving on, John Comm was asked about the wide receiver depth to Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn pointed out how rookie Jalen Lane worked some outside versus the Bengals, and that was something very notable. He was not in the slot. I think he was in the slot for one of those catches, but a lot of them, he was working from the outside. Dan Quinn said, quote, he's the one I see the ascension taking place, unquote. And he said that he sees Lane taking the coaching points and applying it onto the field. Quote, he can apply it very quickly, unquote. And does that sound, I mean, every time you hear a coach saying that this guy doesn't make the same mistake twice, he takes on the coaching and applies it very quickly, that's a guy that's typically ascending and is going to far outlive and outperform his draft pick location and status and all of that type of stuff. So even though he was drafted in the 4th round, sounds like a guy, I mean, if you look at the tape, he has 2nd round talent all day. 2nd and maybe even 1st, depending on how you utilize him. So he was never supposed to go in the 4th round anyway. Virginia Tech set him up for failure. But either way, I think he's going to far outperform that draft pick. I'm telling you right now, I think he's going to be an amazing player for us. And then shouts out to Serge the Shooter. He said he's going to be a guy you have to point out before the ball snaps. Same with Debo. You got to put eyes on them because they move around even just pre-snap. And speaking of Debo Samuel, Zach Selby, the only play that I really remember hearing of or could find any information from this Thursday's practice, Zach Selby said a deep shot to Debo Samuel from Jaden Daniels with Quan Martin and Sam Still in coverage. But he said shot. He never said like deep ball completion, Debo Samuel catch or anything like that. And so shouts out to Rio Robinson. He brings up a great point when he quote tweeted it and said, the mystery here is what happened next. And I agree. Literally, the quote is from Zach Selby, deep shot to Debo Samuel from Jaden, Quan and Sam still in coverage. That's literally it. We don't know what happened. And then also moving on, Mark Tyler, I agree. This is a lot of this kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of the reporting I've heard. Even John Comm mentioned this like over a week ago. Mark Mark Tyler said it. So apparently after a few early flashes, Ja'Cory Brooks has cooled off significantly and would have to do something very special to make this 53-man roster. An intriguing fan favorite who seems destined for the practice squad, and that's really at best. I highly doubt he's making his final 53-man roster, and I'm hoping he makes the practice squad because I'm one of the fans that's rooting for him. I like Ja'Cory Brooks' talent, but John Comorty warned y'all, and I gave y'all the update when he said it like over a week ago, that he would have to do something ridiculous in these preseason games to surpass the veteran guys like KJ Osborne or Michael Gallup or one of those guys. So just to let you know, right now, if you had to bet money on who's going to get that 6th wide receiver spot, if we do even keep 6, it's going to be one of those veterans. Of course, your locks are Terry, Noah Brown, Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel. Not in any type of order at all. That's 5 automatically right there. If they keep 6, it's going to be between Michael Gallup and KJ Osborne more than likely. So I'm interested to see like if those guys are going to battle it out for that final spot in that upcoming preseason game against the Ravens with backups, against backups. I'm not sure how much is necessarily going to prove, because we even saw Martavis Bryant last season get a touchdown and we were like, oh, he's going to make the team, and then he didn't. But I don't know. Maybe they already have an idea who they want to have the 6th spot, or again, maybe they won't keep anybody in the 6th spot. We'll see. Now moving on to the tight end group, and all I have is this clip uploaded directly from the Washington Commanders Twitter account themselves of Jaden Daniels throwing the ball to Zach Ertz. And just like Austin Eckler, you may not necessarily get a bunch of updates on this connection, even though it happens all of the time. And granted, he is throwing the ball to other tight ends as well. You see a Ben Sinnott catching all of that type of stuff. Actually, none of these passes go to Zach Ertz. Actually, it's going to John Bates and Ben Sinnott. But I wanted to remind y'all that just like Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz is here to stay. He's still Jaden Daniels' safety blanket, even after all of the great things we've heard about Deebo Samuel and Jalen Lane in practices, balling out, being consistent, being dependable targets for him. Zach Ertz is still a safety blanket. That's the guy that he's going to target the most, more times than not. But we'll see. And I like the fact that we're getting John Bates and Ben Sinnott involved in the passing game as much as possible, because that's going to be huge. I mean, people pointed out a long time ago, weeks ago, that we were running a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. That's 1 running back and 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends, and if all 3 of our tight ends can go out there and potentially be a threat against the pass, that's going to force teams to not be able to focus on stopping our run. When you have 3 tight ends in the game, sounds like you're more than likely going to run, but if all 3 of those tight ends are reliable passing threats, receiving threats, that could be serious work, because then once teams realize that, now they got to let up on a run, and we can run the ball as easily as we want with 5 offensive linemen and 3 tight ends out there. There's no way you can stop that run if you don't dedicate all of your resources and effort into stopping the run. So that can make our offense virtually unstoppable. So, man, John Bates and Ben Sinnott ascending to real receiving threats. It's going to get spooky, especially with John Bates being the best blocking tight end in the NFL, and Ben Sinnott isn't very far behind him. So we have great blocking. We have some versatility. Now we just need a little bit more receiving threat to make things easier for everybody else around them. And then also offensive line-wise, Adam Kilgore pointed out the fact that Brandon Coleman was back in full pads for the Commanders' last training camp practice. And then Linnell Willingham said, huge news. We could potentially see this projected starting O-line on the field together week 1, even with Cosmi. I mean, with a lot of the optimism that Dan Quinn has conveyed in his interviews about Samuel Cosmi, I don't know, man. He may be ready week 1, but at the very least, it sounds like we're going to have Laramie Tunsil, Pro Bowl left tackle, Brandon Coleman, potential Pro Bowl left guard back fully healthy, Pro Bowl center and Tyler Biotish, Nick Allegretti, who did a pretty good job for you starting at left guard last year until Samuel Cosmi gets back, and then Josh Connolly, who I feel like has an all-pro ceiling at right tackle. So our offensive line is going to be pretty good. And then defensively, all I have is defensive line updates, and mind you, all of them are Javon Kinlaw centered. First of all, you can see in this clip how like Daryl Tapp is always one of the hardest working coaches at the practice, is one of the loudest, most vocal. I always love that. But going into Javon Kinlaw, David Harrison talked to the Team 980. He said Javon Kinlaw is looking every bit worth the contract that Adam Peters gave him so far. Absolutely love to hear that, man. So from what he's been seeing going to every single training camp practice, even though we've heard some hype, we've seen a couple of clips from Javon Kinlaw, and he played pretty well in that Bengals preseason game, because you can doubt the Bengals defense, and you kind of want to downplay. I mean, I'm not. I think our offense is actually that unstoppable, but I understand why some people, I can kind of see it, why some people are like, wait, hold your horses on the offense. But that Bengals offense is serious, and they had their starters out there, really outside of T. Higgins. They had most of their starters out there, and our D-line looked really good against them. It was really just penalties killing our drives. Javon Kinlaw looked pretty good in that game as well. And I've been hearing for a while now, all offseason, that Javon Kinlaw looks really good and worth every penny. We just haven't been getting updates about him as much as a lot of other guys, but I'm telling you right now, Javon Kinlaw is going to work up and end up earning that contract. A lot of people felt like that was one of the worst contracts given out to any free agent this entire offseason, regardless of team. Out of the entire NFL, I'm telling you right now, it's going to end up looking like a steal. Hey, man, when in doubt, trusting Adam Peters, he has an eye for things like this, man. And then Marshall, he pointed out the fact that Logan Paulson said that Kinlaw moves different than the other defensive linemen on this team. Nobody else moves like him. He repeatedly calls him violent, and another year removed from knee issues, that's going to play a role into this. It's going to be like the healthiest he's been in a long time. And Logan Paulson also said that Javon Kinlaw is another player that hasn't regressed through camp. So some guys started off hot, then kind of steamed down a little bit, kind of simmered down some. Javon Kinlaw has remained hot the entire time. I'm telling you right now, he's destined for a big season. And if you don't want to hear it from random reporters that have been going to the games, media members or analysts, or if you don't want to take my word for it, how about Bobby Wagner? And then the story that he gives, shouts out to Ben Standig for uploading this clip, man. It sounds like a legendary player, like folklore or something like that. Here's Bobby Wagner talking about Javon Kinlaw.
Frankie was just saying the power Javon Kinlaw plays with is something that stood out. Yeah, definitely Kinlaw, you know, and him being in the backfield, not just his power, but there was a play in the Patriots when we scrimmaged them down there where he jumped off the ball so fast that he tackled both the quarterback and the running back, you know what I mean? So he's really smart as well, so.
Like, come on, man. Like, how does that night get you excited about a player when Bobby Wagner is that high on him, man? Bobby Wagner's not just saying that for no reason at all, just to generate fake hype or anything like that. And then Seawall Sports even backed it up, quote tweeted this video and said, "I saw the play that Bobby Wagner is mentioning here. Hence my continued tracking of Javon Kinlaw." So apparently he had this ridiculous play and people caught notice of it and were like, all right, this Javon Kinlaw guy is actually going to be really nice. And maybe I should pay attention to him more in practices because he's doing things that maybe we just been missing it so far. And apparently he's kept it going. He stayed red hot. You know, some people are maybe simmered down from the early offseason hype. Javon Kinlaw hasn't. And then also, before we go, I'm thinking about doing an entire video based on this, but I thought JP Finley put up some pretty good training camp superlatives. He only did 5. I'm probably going to do way more and do like a full-blown video and explaining why I feel like people deserve their superlatives. So stay tuned for something like that very soon. But either way, he said his training camp superlatives, most impressive, Deebo Samuel. I probably agree there. As far as like the expectations I had for them coming into training camp and what they're actually at, I think Deebo Samuel probably outperformed and surpassed my expectations more than anybody else. Like I said, I think just off of the fact he may not necessarily be the exact same 100% athlete that he was in the 2021 season, but he's a way better pure receiver. With the 49ers, he was a great weapon. With us, he's not only a weapon, but a great receiver. I've never seen or heard of a Deebo Samuel release package off the line of scrimmage. His route run is defined as well. He has an increased route tree arsenal to work with. I'm seeing way better hands, way more consistent hand. I saw him drop slants, wide open slants for the 49ers. Now he's out here making contested catches and double teams, and he's tracking the ball over the shoulder, which is like one of the hardest things to do as a wide receiver. It's insane. Also, he said best rookie, Trenavian Amos. Hard to disagree with that as well. And again, mind you, this is JP Finley who's going to most, if not all, of the practices. He said best free agency ad, Dietrich Wise. That's interesting because I haven't heard a lot about Dietrich Wise, and I felt like he looked pretty explosive against the Bengals, even with a couple of penalties that he got. So that's interesting. Then he said if he had to pick one new 2025 Pro Bowler, Quan Martin. I love to hear that in the safety room. And then of course the best player overall, Jaden Daniels, as he should be. He's the best player on the team. He's one of the best players in the NFL. So that's not a surprise to me at all. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, and still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video, staying all the way through the video, leaving likes on the way out, leaving comments, showing support, man. If you're still watching this video all the way up to this point, I salute you and really appreciate you personally. Again, leave a like on the way out. Also, again, Let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in the video, about the fact that the Commanders seem to be getting healthy at the right time. Noah Brown back in practice. Terry McLaurin itching closer and closer to practicing. Javon Kinlaw looking like he's worth every penny and more. Let me know how y'all feel about all of that. Like I said earlier, now that I'm finally may have a little bit of free time on my hands traveling to Virginia, maybe I'll finally be able to sit down and reply to a lot of the comments that y'all have had in a lot of different videos from the past couple of weeks that I really want to get to and see y'all's opinions on them. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Leave your comments in this video as well. I'm gonna try my best to get to those. Leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.